Hello again. This is Rob Ryder, and it's Sunday, April 25th, 2021. I want to do a video on the situation of the city of Detroit Chief of Police versus Tlaib. So Chief Craig says that Detroit Rep Tlaib should resign after no more police comment. So let's get into that a bit, right? I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Rudlewski, United States Army veteran, also known as Rob Ryder. My email address is quarterrecord@aol.com. And phone number 616-712-6179. If you happen to know the chief, maybe you could ask him to watch the video. If you know somebody who lives in Detroit, maybe you could ask him to watch the video because this applies to that jurisdiction. And so, Chief Craig, will you be policing the people for usurpers like Tlaib, or will you police the usurpers, Tlaib, for the people? Because I say that she's an imposter, right? She did not take the proper oath of office. And under Michigan law, the City of Detroit Police Department has a duty to arrest her and initiate criminal proceedings, right? It's written in the law. Right here, Michigan election law, right, which is the Act 116 of 1954, where it says at 168.941 that peace officers' duty to institute proceedings. Section 941, it is hereby made the duty of any police, sheriff, or other peace officer present and having knowledge of any violation of any provision of this act to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offender. And so, Chief, I'm here to make sure that you know that you have everything you need to have her arrested. But it may not just be her. In fact, it is not just her. This is a common problem that we have with our elected and appointed officials is they're not taking the proper oaths of office, and they're actually usurping an office because they didn't qualify for it. It's all written in the law, Chief. It's not hard to read. Right? It's right there. It's just who's going to enforce it. I'm hoping you're the man. So let's look at our the adversaries of each other. Right, here's the Congress member imposter Tlaib. And here's Chief Craig. And you can see the chief. He's got 1, 2, 3. He got 5 stars. He's as high level as MacArthur. Gold leaf on the hat. He's got the state emblem, and it doesn't have no circle around it, right? His critters aren't corralled in any way. And if you didn't know this, Detroit's the original jurisdiction of Michigan, right? It existed long before Michigan did. Like 1701, French established Detroit. And then 1760s, England and France were at war up in Canada, and they came to some kind of agreement. And basically kicked the French out, kicked the French Catholics out, took over Canada, and gave Detroit to England. All right, then we move ahead to the Northwest Ordinance, and now this is part of that. It's not actually the Northwest Ordinance, but that's just a common name. This big chunk of land northwest of the Ohio River that became 5 different states: Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, I believe is how it worked. And, eventually, about 1805, Michigan finally becomes a territory. Well, the day before the new governor of Michigan shows up, they have the Great Fire of Michigan, and all the land records got destroyed. Go figure. Well, now, and the next day, in comes the government. We're here to help. And they reestablish, under their system, the boundaries, and voila, right? One from French to American system under the public land survey system. So, when you say Michigan and say, well, what was the original jurisdiction of Michigan? It's the city of Detroit. And I believe this man's actually has jurisdiction under martial law. And that jurisdiction could probably cover the whole state as far as that goes. Right? Under territorial law, he's the man. And under territorial law, well, she's a frickin' imposter who should be arrested. And let's look at some more evidences, see what we can find out. So hang on just a second. Okay, and so you can see I didn't make that law up myself, right? This is right off of the Michigan Legislator website, 168-941. It's in the law, Chief. And, I don't believe the news was lying when they said that you say that she should resign, you know. But I think that's only because you don't know that she should be arrested. And if you knew she should be arrested, that's what you would do for the people. So I'm going to be that little conscience on your ear telling you, hey, Chief, you need to arrest her. All right, let's get this over with. So what I did, Chief, this is nothing on you, right? This is more on the Board of Police Commissioners for Detroit. This all comes out of the city's charter, which we're going to look at in a second. But in here, right under this Board of Police Commissioners, they had a way to, if you have register a police complaint, right? And so you click on that button and you end up on this page here. And the next thing you know, you can fill out a complaint about the police department. So I did. Right, and we're going to look at that in a minute too. But, I'm doing this for anybody else in your situation, right? Go complain. That's what I do. Okay, hang on just a second. And it should be noted that the Detroit Police Department was created during the Civil War, right? When the United States was under martial law is when the city of Detroit's police department was created. And I know you're a busy man, Chief. I'm going to get right to the point with you, then I'll explain it more for other people, right? But you don't need to know all this. I wish you'd watch the whole video, but you don't have to, right? If we go to the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States, it says in the 3rd section, the senators and representatives before mentioned, that would be Tlaib, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers of both the United States and the several states, like the governor and the judges and so forth, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Well, that's pretty simple, right? You need to take an oath and you cannot have a religious test. You would think that'd be simple enough to do. Well, lo and behold, the very first law passed after the ratification of the Constitution is what's called 1 Stat 23, which is an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths. 1 Stat 23. And it was the first law passed by the United States Congress after the ratification of the Constitution. It was signed by President George Washington on June 1st, 1789. And in this first section, it says, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives, United States of America, and Congress assembled, that the oath or affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States shall be administered in the following form. In other words, just like this. To wit, I state your name, that would be your full legal name, just like on your birth record, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Period. Right? That's the oath. That's all there needs to be. Well, that isn't the oath that Tlaib or anybody else who's in Congress took. They're not taking this oath. It's not the oath that the governor took. It's not the oath that judges take, right? So they're not complying with the 6th article of the Constitution. And so let's see what they did do, right? So for today, we'll just concentrate on the Congress, mainly. So hang on. Where did I put that? Here we go. So this here, Chief, is the congressional record for proceedings and debates of the 117th Congress, first session, on January 28, 2021. So this is the House of Representatives section. There's also one for the Senate, but we'll just stick with the House. And if we go down here to see what they did this day, right, we'll find that, what did they do? They went into adjournment, right? The Speaker, pursuant to some section of some resolution, stands adjourned until 3 p.m. Monday, February 1st, 2021. They shut her down, right, from 9 o'clock in the morning till Monday at 3 p.m. Right? So this is like 4 days because the 28th was a Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All that time was shut down. But during that time, as you can see, they acted like they put their oaths of office into the record. Where it says the oath of office required by the 6th Article of the Constitution, well, we just saw what that is, 1 Stat 23, and as provided by Section 2 of the Act of da-da-da-da-da. This isn't the one, right? This is where they start their lies. To be administered to members and so forth and so on, and here's the oath they did, right? Which has a religious test, so help me God. So this oath is unconstitutional. Yet that's the oath they put in. And if we go, we find Tlaib. Where is she? Here she is, right? Rashida Tlaib. Well, that's not her full legal name. Just like Brenda L. Lawrence isn't this person's full legal name, right? You don't have an initial in your legal name. Your full legal name is your first name, middle name, last name, no initials, no nicknames. So says the federal government in the Real ID Act. So Tlaib, right, took an improper oath under an alias and submitted it in place of the oath that's supposed to be there. Well, then that's a counterfeit. So she counterfeited the oath she was supposed to file. Now she's usurping the office. Well, that wasn't quite enough. They continued on, and once they had that oath, they said, well, now that we're members of Congress, let's do this other oath to give us access to secrets, right, to classified information. And so they did another oath, and so now these spies have access to states' information, states' secrets. There's just something wrong with that, Chief. Wouldn't you agree? So that's why I'm saying you need to do something about it, right? That you have the authority, because she didn't take the proper oath, and according to this law right here, right? Hereby may the duty of any police chief, police sheriff, or peace officer present having knowledge of any violation of any of the provisions of this act to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offender. I guess we need to look at one other piece that goes with that law, so hang on just a second. All right, so here's the entire act, right? This is the Michigan election law. And they have a section in here that has to do with, here's representatives in Congress, so that's what we're talking about. And if we go down here and say representatives in Congress, vacancy, creation, we can see that the office of representative in Congress shall become vacant on the happening of any of the following events before the expiration of the term of office: the death of the incumbent, his resignation, his removal from office, the decision of a competent tribunal declaring void his election, or his refusal or neglect to take his oath of office. Well, there you are, right? So if they didn't take the proper oath of office, the office is vacant, which means Tlaib is not a representative. She's a usurper. That's pretty simple. All right, one more thing. Hang on. All right, just to tie the circle together, Chief, let's go look at Title II, United States Code, Section 25, with his oath of speaker, members, and delegates. Right, and this is coming off of GovInfo, right? This is a government website, so I would have to hope it's accurate. Let's take a look. Oh, hey, they gave us a little birdie up in the corner. That means this is authenticated copy. Right, this is what the law is according to the GPO. And here's Section 25, right? Title II is for the Congress, and Section 25 says, it's talking about the oaths of speaker and members. But let's go to the second part, right? The clerk of the House of Representatives of the 80th and each succeeding Congress, well, we're at 117, so that would meet the criteria, shall cause the oath of office to be printed, furnishing 2 copies to each member and delegate who has taken the oath of office in accordance with the law, which shall be subscribed in person by the member or delegate, who shall thereupon deliver them to the clerk, one to be filed in the records of the House of Representatives, and the other to be recorded in the Journal of the House and in the Congressional Record. And such signed copies or certified copies thereof, or either of such records thereof, shall be admissible in evidence in any court of the United States, and shall be held conclusive proof of the fact that the signer duly took the oath of office in accordance with the law. So all Tlaib needs to do to prove me to be a liar is produce her frickin' oath and give it to you, Chief. I'll let you decide if she took the proper oath. Oh, you need to send me a copy anyways, but you can look at it. Did she take, the oath that Article 6 requires? I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Or did she take the oath that it says, according to the Congressional Record, right, that she took this oath, which is actually the oath that's in 5 U.S.C. 3331, which is for administration. It's not for the Congress. Title 5 is for the administration of the government, not for Congress. Right, I, A.B. do solemnly swear, affirm, I will support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and take this obligation freely without any mental reservation, purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of my office for which I am about to enter. So help me God. Well, that just made it unconstitutional for somebody in the 6th article to take this oath. Now, this is the oath taken by military officers, but they're not executive branch officers, they're military officers. And that distinction was made when the DOD came into existence in, it's like 1948, 1949, sometime in there, where they took, military officers used to be considered executive branch, and they took them out and said, well, no, now you're military branch. And so they can take this oath. And they do take that oath. Right? It's not the oath the enlisted take, but it's the oath that the officers take. But it's not an oath for the frickin' a congresswoman to take. And so if this is the oath they filed, and they did it using a fictitious name, well, Chief, then she's a frickin' usurper. So all of these people here are usurpers, right? All these people in Michigan. If you could arrest them all, then please do. Right? Well, let's start there. I mean, I've complained about the governor already trying to have her arrested because she hasn't done this either. Right? She's an executive officer of the state. She's supposed to do it, but she hasn't done it yet either. It's terrible. Okay, hang on. So just to show you, Chief, because because I can, right? This is the oath of office that was supposedly recorded by Gretchen Whitmer, which is not her full legal name. It's Gretchen Esther Whitmer, to be the governor, right? And this wording here is supposed to be the wording that comes out of the Constitution of Michigan of 1963, first article of what is it? The 11th article, section 1 of the 11th article. The problem is that the Constitution of the state, this shouldn't be this way. In the Constitution, the C is lowercase, and so is the S. Right? So they altered the text of the oath. It's a different form, so they didn't follow the law. And she didn't use her full legal name. Well, people could, as much as they want, they can argue those points. But the one point you really can't argue is that she did this before a notary. And in Michigan law, under MCL 15.36, 37, 15.36 and 15.37, it says in there that a notary cannot administer an oath to the governor. So, Gretchen Whitmer is not the governor of Michigan. In case you wanted to know, you can arrest her too, as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I really wish you would. Okay, hang on. Just real quick, here's just for a more, a local flavor. This is for Kent County, where I live, where they file one for the county of Kent. And it says, I do solemnly swear or affirm I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state, and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Kent County Clerk, Register of Deeds, in and for County of Kent, State of Michigan. Well, how did we go from Kent County to County of Kent? right? This shit here, it's not in the constitutional form of the oath, right? They could put Kent County Clerk because that's the officer taken, but this in and for County of Kent, State of Michigan, you know, unless she's saying that's part of her office, there's no place for it in the oath, and if she is saying it's part of her office, well, then why is it County of Kent instead of Kent County? Right? This is for the clerk. So, one usurper coming in and being subscribed before the usurper that's leaving. Right here is Kent County, Michigan. Right? What the hell is County of Kent? County of Kent, State of Michigan. County of Kent, State of Michigan. Kent County, Michigan. That's just an example of how they do it. I want to show you the one that really pisses me off. All right, this is the glaring example, Chief. Right here, this is for Branch County, right? Somebody taking the office of probate judge. Where when they put the seal on it, that kind of looks like the Great Seal of Michigan, except if you notice, the moose is looking over his back. WTF? What is that? The elk is looking towards the middle, but not the moose. Right? They're just putting it in our face that they're not following the law, Chief. This is a guy who is pretending to be a circuit court judge of Michigan. Bad news, Chief. You need to round them all up. Yeah, Chief. I mean, look at your elk and moose. They're faced to the center towards the shield, right? So I'd say you're in the proper jurisdiction, and the guy who's acting like a judge in Branch County, well, he's a usurper. No different than the Congress member imposter usurper. No different than the governor of Michigan usurper. They're all usurping an office. And they're causing the people all sorts of freaking pain and agony, Chief, and we need your help. Can you police them for us? So I think you can. Let's go look at your, let's take a quick look, if we can, at the Charter of Detroit. See what kind of authority you have. Let's go look here, right? Charter of Detroit, city government, general powers, boundaries, oath of office. We're going to look at a few things before we get to the police department, but won't take long, Chief. I know you're a busy man. I'm not wasting your time, Chief. This is one-time deal. You won't have to have me ever tell you again. And I'm only doing it now because I don't think anybody ever has. Right? Preamble, Declaration of Rights, the Detroit City. Now, how come they call it Detroit City? See, this is where esquires get involved. Right? Is the name of the city of Detroit, or is it Detroit City? Right? This is that name game play that they like to play. So Detroit City Government is a service institution that recognizes its subordination to the people of Detroit. That sounds good. The city police forces are in all cases and at all times in strict subordination to the civil power. So we just need to figure out who that is. The people of Detroit, by adoption of Home Rule Charter, create and provide for their continuing control of the municipal government of the city of Detroit. So is it the municipal government that's called Detroit City? Right? Because here, the city of Detroit. Earlier, it was Detroit City. You can see where I might be confused. The city has comprehensive home rule conferred upon it by the Michigan Constitution. Well, ain't that something? Subject only to the limitations on the exercise of that power contained in the Constitution of this charter are imposed by statute. So the same Constitution that gives you authority is the Constitution that Gretchen Esther Whitmer usurped by filing an invalid oath of office. City also has all powers which a city may possess under the Constitution and laws of this state. General provisions, every elective officer and every appointee before entering on official duty shall take and subscribe the following oath before the Detroit City Clerk. See, now we're back to Detroit City, not City of Detroit Clerk. The Detroit City Clerk. Who the hell is that? Well, whoever it is, that's who you need to take your oath before, Chief. And it shall be, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office to the best of my ability. The original of the oath shall be filed in the office of the city clerk and a copy provided to the elective officer or the appointee. Got your copy, Chief? Right, because we need to remove the plank from our own eye first before we remove the speck from the people's eye. Right, so unless everybody in Detroit who claims an office has done this properly, they are a usurper. You need to be auditing the books, Chief. Right, somebody's got to do it. It should be your job. Make sure they did it right. Make sure you did it right. Use your full legal name, no initials. No last name, comma, first name. Right? None of this other shit that the Esquires pull. City clerk means the city clerk of the city of Detroit. Now, there you go. Right? That's the city clerk is the city clerk of the city of Detroit. But that's not who you're supposed to take your oath in front of before the Detroit city clerk. Who is the Detroit city clerk, Chief? If you ever find out, please call me and tell me. Official act means an act or omission, right? That's an official act. If you omit to do an act, well, that's your official act. So if you omit to arrest somebody, that was your official act. Yada, yada. Public service means the mayor, members of the city council, city clerk, appointive officers, any member of the board, commission, or voting body established by either branch of city government or this charter, and any appointee, employee, individual, provide services to the city within or outside the offices pursuant to personal service contracts. So if you have a contract with the city, you're actually a public servant. That's good. This is a big thing too, Chief. This thing about residence, right? What does residence mean? A person's principal permanent place of residence, right? See that word permanent? Well, they won't ever give you a permanent place of residence. They have you using a mailing address as your residence address on a driver's license. If you look at the form to renew your driver's license in Michigan, and it asks for your residence address, the very first line says street and number, right? Well, not number and street, like, mine would be 10955 14 Mile Road. That's how I always thought it would be. But, that is my street address. What they won't tell me is what's the number, right? Like the lot number or something. And so because we don't fill out the paperwork correctly, we're taking ourselves out of the proper jurisdiction voluntarily in their eyes and putting ourselves into their jurisdiction, which is run by esquires. Right? So by simply filling out a piece of paper wrong, you take yourself out of the United States, protected by the Constitution, and put yourselves in the United States of America under the jurisdiction of esquires who are agents of the Crown of England. Well, agents of the Crown. That's how she rolls. Okay. Let me go real quick. I won't waste your time going through these pages here. Hang on. But we got to stop and talk about the mayor for a second, right? The mayor is the chief executive office, the chief executive of the city, and as provided by this charter, has control of and is accountable to or for the executive branch of the city government. So the mayor is responsible, Chief, because you haven't arrested Tlaib yet. That's how this works, right? The mayor is also directly accountable to the citizens of the city of Detroit. So if you live in the city of Detroit and you have a complaint against the city, then you need to make your complaint against the mayor, which this is really no different than with the IRS. If you go to the United States Tax Court website and you look at the petition that you would fill out to fill in, right? You as the plaintiff are going against the respondent who's the commissioner of the IRS. Well, this is no different. You as the plaintiff are going against the mayor, right? Who's over the city of Detroit. So, but you have to live in the city of Detroit to make this stuff stick. Well, that's what I believe. I mean, if somebody else can get it done, then please do. Tell me how you did it. And then the mayor is a conservator of peace and may administer oaths and take affidavits. Now, that's really, really important to somebody like me, Chief, because I've been trying to get a sworn statement done, right, to put in evidence into a court case, and they really don't want us to do that. They would rather that we file affidavits into our court case. You got all these people talking about filing affidavits into court cases. Oh, yeah, I filed affidavits in. Rudy Giuliani filed all these affidavits into Trump's court cases and shit, right? Well, Chief, an affidavit is an oath rendered to writing. and it can't be disputed, right? It's an oath. It's not evidence. We need to put evidence into court cases, not oaths. Now, your evidence may have an affidavit in it that you're swearing that you believe that to be true, but you're not filing an affidavit, you're filing a sworn statement. And because we're under martial law government, which I believe you're part of, Chief, we should be using an Army sworn statement form. So, that we should be able to use this form here, this sworn statement form. It's from the Army because we're under martial law. And so this is the right form for the right jurisdiction. And the mayor has the authority to put his stamp on it because he's in that jurisdiction also. I bet he's got a gold fringe flag in his office. Right? What are some of the routine uses for this, right? Information provided may further disclose to federal, state, local, or foreign government law enforcement agencies. Well, that'd be you, Chief. Prosecutors, courts, child protective services, victims, witnesses, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of Personnel Management, on and on and on. Right? That's what we're supposed to be able to use this form for, Chief. And basically, if this form was done properly, then the Army would, any place in the world, say, well, that's the man or woman's sworn statement, and, it stands as the truth until it's rebutted. Now, part of doing this form is when you get down to the bottom, it has an affidavit in it, right? But it's a sworn statement with an affidavit. It's not an affidavit that you're filing a sworn statement with an affidavit, right? And it's this part right here. Signature person administering oath. This is the part we need somebody to do for us that has jurisdiction in the Golden Fringe Flag jurisdiction. Right? So if he put his name and put down here mayor of the city of Detroit as the authority to administer the oaths, well, the Army would agree. And they would agree that this was a properly executed sworn statement. And, you would now have proof or evidence to put in to a court where in the courtroom is a gold fringe flag. Right? So, now if there's a different sworn statement form to use, I'm okay with it as long as that's the way it's seen. I'm just saying this is how it's done in the military. And I believe we're under martial law, so we're still doing it in the military. All right, hang on again. Okay, so that's what the mayor can do. All right, let's continue on down and find the police. Executive branch, staff departments, 6, chapter 5, chapter 7. Where are you? Oh, here's the police right here. Article 7. The executive branch, program, services, and activities. The police department shall preserve the public peace, prevent crime, arrest offenders, protect the rights of persons and property, guard the public health, preserve order, and enforce the laws of the state of Michigan and the United States and the ordinances of the city of Detroit. Well, I would say then that you have a duty to do something about the fact that Tlaib didn't take the proper oath of office, right? Because her office is vacated. And, it's clearly written, made the duty of any police, sheriff, or other peace officer present and having knowledge of any violation of any provision of this act to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offender. Now, anybody who's in the police department can do this. It doesn't have to be the chief. Right? I don't even know if you'll see the video. But if you're in the police department of Detroit, you can go arrest her. Right? Make her prove she took the proper oath. She can get a copy from the clerk's office at the House of Representatives. Right? And as we'll see, the Board of Commissioners, right, which has oversight, can do it. Let's see. So what are the duties of the Board of Police Commissioners? Right. One of them is receive and resolve, as provided in this chapter, any complaint concerning the operation of the police department. Well, so I went ahead and filed one. And forward all allegations of criminality to the appropriate internal, external law enforcement agency for further investigation. The board may subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, take testimony, and require the production of evidence. Now, if you live in Detroit, right, you can go to this board and tell them you want them to administer the oath required to satisfy a sworn statement form. And I'm not saying they have to do this one, but I'm saying if you live in Detroit, take a copy of this to the board and tell them, this is what you want to do. You want to file a sworn statement and put it into your court case or whatever it would be. And, if you watched enough of my videos, you know the thing to complain about, that these people, especially the judges that are sitting there in those courts, they have not taken the oath that satisfies the 6th article of the Constitution, whether it's a federal court or a state court. Right? Remember 1 Stat 23, right? Write that down. 1 STAT 23. That's the overall first law passed after the ratification of the Constitution. But then sometime later, they took the part out, especially to do with state officers, and they put it in the code under Title 4, which is for the states. Right? United States Code, Section 101. Every member of state legislature and every executive and judicial officer of a state, well, that'd be the dude wearing the robe, shall, before he proceeds to execute the duties of his office, take an oath in the following form, to wit, I, A, B, do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution of the United States. Now, a brother just was in Holland, Michigan, had a traffic case, and he asked the guy for the oath, and the guy said he had it, but he wouldn't show it to him. Right, and he continued on with his, usurpation of an office. So, what I'm going to be telling him now, after thinking about this, is let's go to the chief of police of Holland and say, go get the guy's oath and make him prove he took it. That we don't believe he did. Right, but I'm showing you, chief, that unless a state officer, which would be a judge or a prosecutor, right, because they're an executive officer, or the attorney general for the state, or the secretary of state, or the governor, or the treasurer, or anybody who has an office under the Constitution of Michigan, as far as I'm concerned, if they needed to take the oath that's in the Constitution of Michigan to have their office, they need to take this oath, right? And they need to do it separately, because this is the one the federal government wants, and it said in the following form, to wit. They don't want you to do anything with their oath. If you want to have another oath, then do it on another piece of paper. But this is the one that they all needed to have taken, and there's no judges that took this fucking oath. They ain't got it. Right? When you ask for the oaths and you go get them, you don't get this oath from them. You get the one I showed earlier with the moose looking over his back. So, yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. For sure. Okay, hang on. We're almost to the end here. Okay, then we get down to that'd be the chief of police, right? The board of police commissioners shall conduct a professional search with a reputable and qualified executive search firm, other equally qualified entity to identify candidates for chief of police. The mayor shall appoint, subject to approval of city council, chief of police from a list of qualified candidates provided by the board of police commissioners. If the city council does not disapprove of the appointment within 30 days, it is deemed confirmed. The chief serves at the pleasure of the mayor. Chief of police shall be skilled and experienced in police administration or law enforcement, and as the head official in charge of the department, the chief of police shall be responsible for its day-to-day operation and administration. The chief of police is the chief executive officer of the police department and shall administer the department consistent with the policies, rules, and regulations established by the board, and shall organize the department with the approval of the board. Well, what they said is that the police department shall preserve the public peace, prevent crime, arrest offenders, protect the rights of persons and property, guard the public health, preserve order, and enforce the laws of the state of Michigan and the United States and the ordinances of the city of Detroit. That's all I'm asking you to do, Chief. It's all we need you to do. But because Tlaib is still pretending to be, one of the many usurpers, and you brought her up, I decided, well, I'm going to go to the board of police commissioner's website and register a police complaint. Not against you, Chief, against them and directly to the mayor because, right, well, the mayor is responsible for everything. So make him do his duty. And so I just want to show you what I did, Chief. Let's see. So anyways, this is, this is all the information here that I put in. Right, so you're supposed to get a copy of this, but it'll be from Robert Allen Rutluski, right, 10955 14 Mile Road, Unit 55, Rockford, Michigan. Zip code, email address, birth date. They had something on here. They had race. That's why I'm showing this. Right, well, I'm the race of Adam, Chief. If there's more than one race, then it's the race of Adam and the race of Cain, or the sons of Cain. And you know that Freemasons consider themselves the sons of Cain, right, Chief? This is a problem, right? They don't consider themselves the race of Adam. They consider themselves a different race. So I'm a racist. I'm from the race of Adam, and I do not like the race of Cain. Right? The race of Cain is at war with God. And so they need to go. They can go to a FEMA camp, finish out their days. We can feed them good. They can have everything they want and let them die peacefully. But they just need to go. And then we can begin the 1,000-year reign of Christ, 1,000-year reign of peace. It'll be a wonderful day. Anyways, this is the guts of my complaint. So I said the City of Detroit Police Department has failed to institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of the accused, Rashida Harbi Tlaib, for her offense of the Michigan election law, which is Act 116 of 1954, laws of the United States, and the Constitution of the United States. Well, I've shown you all that, Chief. It's already there. So let's just say the accused neglected to execute the oath of office that satisfies the 6th Article of the Constitution. And according to Michigan election law, which is the section we looked at, 168.146, right, her failure created a vacancy in Michigan's representatives in Congress. And that section says that the office of representative in Congress shall become vacant on the happening of any of the following events, or his refusal or neglect to take the oath of office. Well, that's the one that satisfies the 6th Article, Chief. No other one. The oath she failed to execute is found in the laws of the United States as an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths. That would be that old 1 Stat 23, wherein it is written that in the Act's first section, that the oath or affirmation required by the 6th Article of the Constitution of the United States shall be administered in the form following, to wit. I state your name, you solemnly swear or affirm, as case may be, I will support the Constitution of the United States. That's pretty simple. But she didn't do it. The accused did not execute this oath and is usurping the authority of a member of United States Congress. Instead of executing the oath required by the 6th Article under her full legal name identity, she filed an unconstitutional oath of office containing a religious test, so help me God, that she subscribed under the fictitious identity Rashida Tlaib. Immediately after filing of her false oath to impersonate a member of Congress, the accused filed yet another false oath under an alias in order to have access to state secrets. The accused is a spy and and an enemy of the United States, impersonating as the Michigan 13th District's member of the United States House of Representatives. That's your jurisdiction, Chief. Evidence of her treason is recorded in the House section of the Congressional Records, 117th Congress, first session on January 28, 2021. We already looked at it. And in the records of the Clerk of the House of Representatives, which is where her oath is supposed to go. Because according to the United States law, 2 U.S.C. 25, oath of speakers, members, and delegates, the members or delegate who shall thereupon deliver them to the clerk, one to be filed in the records of the House of Representatives, and the other to be recorded in the Journal of the House and in the Congressional Record. And such signed copies or certified copies thereof, or of either of such records thereof, shall be admissible in evidence in any court of the United States, and shall be held conclusive proof of the fact that the signer duly took the oath of office in accordance with law. If the accused cannot provide the City of Detroit Police Department with a certified copy of the oath of office mandated by 1 Stat 23, then she is not representing Michigan 13th District in Congress. Instead, she is an enemy belligerent of the United States, impersonating a member of the United States Congress. The Michigan election law is crystal clear on the duties of the police in matters of elections, wherein it is written in 168-941, that'd be for peace officers, duty to institute proceedings. It is hereby made the duty of the police, sheriff, or peace officer, present and having knowledge of any violation of any of the provisions of this act, to forthwith institute criminal proceedings for the punishment of such offender. The failure of the City of Detroit Police Department to institute criminal proceedings is providing material aid to an enemy of the United States, and I ask the department to clear its good name, correct its omission of duty, and immediately institute said proceedings. Just do what the law says, Chief. That's all you need to do. And for the people of Detroit, I mean, if for some reason this can't be done as easily as having somebody just go ahead and do it, well, you need to go file a complaint against the mayor. So let's take a look at that again real quick, and we'll be done. Hang on a second. Right? The mayor is the chief executive of the city, and as provided by this charter, has control of and is accountable for the executive branch of city government. The mayor is also directly accountable to the citizens of the city of Detroit. It's the mayor's fault that Tlaib is acting like a representative and lording over you. Right? She's what Jesus would have described as a Nicolaitan. Right? In the book of Revelations, the thing he hates is a Nicolaitan. Well, if you look that definition up, a Nicolaitan is somebody who wants to lord, L-O-R-D, lord over you. That's what she is. She's a Nicolaitan. And she's not alone. Right? But you need to institute proceedings against the mayor. And so the mayor is also accountable to the citizens of the city of Detroit. So, right? Citizens of the city of Detroit versus mayor city of Detroit. What would the proper heading be in the court case? I wish I could tell you. I'm not an expert. This is all the stuff that esquires, have hid from us so that they can pretend to be the legal experts, but they haven't taken a proper oath of office either. And they take you before what they do is they take you before a court whose judge hasn't taken the oath in 4 U.S.C. 101, or 1 Stat 23, right? So really it's a judge that doesn't have any authority to hear the matter that involves you. If you're a citizen of the United States, you're protected by the Constitution. They're taking you to a court that denies you due process because they didn't take the proper oath of office, right? So technically, it's not the judge's fault you're there. It's the prosecutor's, right? He has committed a malicious prosecution, and you should be able to collect on his liability insurance policy. Getting it done is a different thing, but it would sure help to get it done quicker if the chief of police of Detroit would help. I think he'd have a little more traction. So here's what I need some help with, right? If you live in Detroit and you can go raise a little cane and find out, hey, what does this mean in this oath of office? And find out who the Detroit city clerk is, right? Because that isn't who they talked about being the city clerk. Right? The city clerk means the city clerk of the city of Detroit. Well, that's not the Detroit city clerk then. Who is that? Right? And make sure that everybody who's claiming an office from the mayor on down has filed this oath just the way it is, right? Properly, proper form, proper grammar, proper capitalization, proper, in their full legal name, the name that's on their birth record, their full legal name, no initials, no nicknames, full legal name, and that the original oath shall be filed in the office of the city clerk and a copy provided to the elective officer or the appointee. Now, this says here, office of the city clerk. And the city clerk means the city clerk of the city of Detroit. Okay, so that's where it gets filed, but that isn't the person that's supposed to execute the oath. Right? Who is the Detroit city clerk? And one last thing on this. Let me just get to the page. Hang on. Article 10, courts. The organization, powers, procedures, and practices of the courts with jurisdiction for cases involving violations of this charter or the city penal ordinances shall be as provided by this charter or ordinance in accordance with state law. Well, I don't see any courts that have been named in this charter, right? So there is no court name. The city may make appropriations for the operation of any court where it is in the city's interest to do so. It shall dispose of revenues resulting from the collection of fines in accordance with law. So the city has the authority to create a court, right? With a judge that has the proper oath of office, like it showed in this charter. But otherwise, the courts we're going to, right, these esquires, right, who are members of the State Bar of Michigan, who did not take the proper oath of office, are usurping the offices of the de jure government during a time of war, because we're still under martial law. And under martial law, I say this guy's in charge. Right, there's the MacArthur for Michigan. So, Chief Craig, hope you're working for the people. That's all I can say. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. You'll have a great weekend. And if you're from the city of Detroit and you want to get involved in seeing if we can make the imposter disappear, to a FEMA camp, right? Again, I'm not trying. Nobody has to die. They can go to a FEMA camp. Just keep them there until they die of natural causes, right? But the sons of Cain are going to be separated. The wolves are going to the left. The sheep are going to the right. And she's a wolf. Or she's a goat. What would you say, Chief? All right. Have a good day.